Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD back for another commentated drive. Today we're going to be taking service to Juliet 30 from Barking Riverside to Gospel Oak, calling at all stations. So we are on the all new Gospel Oak to Barking line that was released last week, complete with Class 710 Adventurer, however it's pronounced. We don't have a lot of time to get the train set up here, so I'm just gonna get started right away. Just enable our two safety systems there, those being TPWS and TPWS AWS and the vigilance slash driver safety device. Get our master key inserted there, select secure on the FNR switch or reverser, acknowledge the AWS self-test sequence, get those doors open. GSMR has set itself up already, and I believe that does happen in real life on the class 710s, although I might be wrong. I was reading something in the Dovetail Games forum from a person that drives these in real life, and they just went over all the details regarding the class 710s, so I know quite a bit on operating these trains in real life now, which is helpful. So I'll go over some of those techniques and tips as I'm driving along here up to Gospel Oak. Um, yeah, let's just set our headlights correctly, although I do think those have already been correctly configured. We'll just pop outside quickly and make sure that that is the case. Yep, headlights look fine. Green signal, so driver safety device can be reset. And we'll do a quick little brake test here, so just selecting forward on the FNR switch. I'm not sure if the brake test is mandatory on class 710s, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not so much going to call out what I'm... Okay. I'm not going to call out what I'm doing so much on this run in particular, because the workload is quite heavy. So I feel like I'm going to get overwhelmed with trying to call out every action that I'm doing. So you guys can just watch what I'm doing. I'm most likely going to turn on the cab light just so you guys can see everything a bit better. Right, we are at our scheduled departure time. We have a green signal. Now the doors in the class 710 in Train Sim World 4 actually close themselves after a certain amount of time, and the problem with that is that they interlock once they're closed. In reality, the doors will only interlock once the door close button has been pressed. Although the doors do close themselves, they do not interlock themselves. The driver has to interlock them, but in Train Sim World, obviously they interlock themselves, which is incorrect. So to counter that and maintain a bit of immersion, I'm just going to simply press the door close button again. Well, not again, because I didn't press it at all, but I'm going to press the door close button even though the doors are already interlocked, just to simulate me interlocking them myself. I don't know if that made sense, but oh well. And without further ado, let's get going. Just select forward there. I believe we were already in forward, but I went back to secure, and then, do you know what, this is a disaster. Let's just get going. 50% power. I'm gonna hang about in 50% until we get up to 25 miles an hour, which is the speed limit departing from Barking Riverside. Just actually reducing the throttle a bit just to have a controlled rate of acceleration up to 25. Now that we're up to 25, just shutting off the power there. Speed limit has now gone up to 40, so I'm going to apply 50% power again. Once we reach 30 miles an hour, making an immediate brake step 2 application just to scrape 10 miles an hour off of our speed to ensure that the brakes are functioning correctly, which they are. Now I'm going to select full power and accelerate up to 40 miles an hour. The acceleration on the Class 710s is insane. These things do not ramp, they do not hang about. Once you slap one of these in full power, gone. It's insane. So the intentions of this little run that I'm doing here is to simply test myself. I'm going to prove to you guys that I have fully mastered this route HUD-Less. This route was released less than a week ago, and I'm already attempting a HUD-Less nighttime run like the warrior I am. I am going to prove to you guys that I am an elite train operator slash driver. Right, so we're now heading downhill a bit. Speed was about to creep above 40 miles an hour, so I had to give it a burst of brake step 1 there just to prevent us from exceeding the speed limit. At this signal coming up here, speed limit will be increasing to 50 miles an hour. The gradient has also leveled off now. So you just saw the 50 board there, waiting for the full length of our train to pass that. And we're only a tiny little 4-car unit, so that shouldn't take too long. Now we're accelerating up to 50 miles an hour. And once we reach 50, I'm going to shut off the power there. Oops. Accidentally applied step 1 braking there. So I'm going to give it a bit more power just to get back up to 50. We did lose a bit of speed from that. Speed limit will shortly be dropping down to 40 miles an hour. What I'm looking out for is a banner repeater associated with the track to our left, immediately to our left. That banner repeater will be followed by a signal which should be displaying the red aspect. If it's not displaying the red aspect, then something has gone terribly wrong, because that signal protects a convergence point onto our track. So that signal should be displaying the red aspect. You can see the banner repeater coming up now, and then you can see the red signal in the distance. Once we reach that signal, I'm gonna get a brake step 1 application in, maybe shortly after passing it. So at this overbridge here, gonna get the brake step 1 application in. Should have us down for 40 miles an hour in good time. Yep, down to 40 just in time for the speed board there. And at this point, we're not too far out from Barking Station. Barking Station in the Gospel Auto direction. You want to be entering the platform at, I'd say, no faster than 20 miles an hour, because the stop board is not too far along the platform at all. You have to keep in mind that we're driving a 4-carriage train here. So yeah, slow entry speeds into the platforms are a must. So you can see I was a bit overly cautious on the approach there, but better safe than sorry. Giving it a bit of brake step 2 just to have our speed nice and controlled as we get closer to the stop board. You can just see the stop board coming up there, the little S with these chevrons around it. Just trying to have that S in the window there, just like so. A tiny bit short, but not the end of the world. Brake step 3, neutral slash secure, whatever you want to call it, and we have a door release on the right. Barking Station, my people. Barking Station. So this route in particular, I actually quite like it. I've watched a couple of YouTubers do their little reviews on it and whatnot, and in general, I must say, everyone has a very positive attitude towards this route, and for good reason. It's actually a very beautiful route. The only downsides are the length, of course. 13 miles is a bit it could be longer, let's be honest. The route could definitely be a bit longer, but for the detail that's been packed into the distance of excuse me, the distance of 13 miles, the level of detail that's gone into this route definitely compensates for the short distance. The Class 710 is a beautiful train. I personally don't see too much wrong with the train. Apparently the physics are a bit off according to the comments posted by people that are more familiar with this train than myself. The sounds are a bit off as well. That is something that I've noticed. I don't even need to be familiar with the train to know that the sounds are off. I can't imagine it sounding like this in real life. But other than that, the train's fine. I generally don't see anything wrong with the train. So this isn't going to be an official review video. I'm just going to give a couple of thoughts here and there as I'm driving along. But overall, I'm actually extremely impressed with this route. It's gorgeous. I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. Like I said, the only things that could have been better are maybe the length. The length could have been a bit longer. Could have possibly... the thing is, I'm saying it could be a bit longer, but I don't even know... I don't even know where it could be extended to be honest. And I guess the things that are incorrect with the train, you know, the physics and whatnot, and the sounds, literally just that. Other than that, the route's fine. So yeah, I have no criticism like that against this route. I'm impressed, I must say. Got a double yellow signal here, and at this signal I'm gonna get my brake step 1 application in for... what station is this again? Woodgrange Park station, my people. Sorry, I get Woodgrange Park and Wanstead Park confused a lot of the time. And I need to remember that Woodgrange Park is the one closer to Barking. Bit too early on the brakes there, just releasing it momentarily. Apparently the driving policy is an initial brake step 2 application when slowing down for stations, but I don't think that's a good way of driving. I actually disagree with that. Brake step 2 as an initial application is horrendous. I don't know why you would do such a thing. My rule is always brake step 1 initially and then up to brake step 2 where necessary, but brake step 2 straight away just seems mad. And also apparently in these things you don't need to go into brake step 3 and neutral before you open the doors. You can literally just leave it in, I think it's brake step 2 as a minimum, and you can leave the reverser in forward and open the doors. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna I will stick to my brake step 3 and neutral, thank you very much, because it seems like a more responsible thing to do. That's not me throwing shade at any drivers in real life. If you want to do that, then you can do that, but I'm just saying I would like to continue to drive with the habits that I've already adopted. So yeah, in case you are wondering why I'm using such a technique, there you go. Doors have closed themselves because I'm too busy waffling away. Green signal, pressing the door close button. The next station Wanstead Park. And I haven't even been calling out the speed limits, which is bad, because the whole purpose of this video is for me to prove that I can drive this route HUD-Less, for me to prove that I know the speed limits, and I'm not even calling them out. But anyway, the last speed limit I called out was the one on the approach to Stratford, so the reduction from 50 down to 40. Just before, I said Stratford, Barking I mean, not Stratford. Just before Barking station, the speed limit went up to 45, and it's been 45 up until literally just now, departing from Woodgrange Park. It went down to 30 momentarily. It's now gone back up to 45, which is what I'm accelerating up to now, and very shortly it's going to go down to 40. So what I'm doing at this point is getting up to 45, then immediately selecting brake step 1, And that should bring us down to 40 in good time. Yep, you can see the 40 board just there. And I'm now gonna use a small amount of power to help us maintain 40, because we are climbing ever so slightly. Speed limit is now going back up to 45 miles an hour, but I will not be accelerating to that because we are shortly going to be arriving at our next station, which is Wanstead Park. This right hand curve that we're entering now is a good place to get your brakes in for Wanstead Park station. So brake step 1 initially, then up to brake step 2. Remember, you want to have about a 20 mile an hour entry speed into these stations. I can't see the stop board, but let's just say that that's about the right place to be stopped at. And we're about a minute late or so. I'm not sure how that happened. I think it's because I was talking a bit before we departed from Barking Riverside, so apologies for that. I'm not sure why I'm apologizing. That doesn't you guys aren't affected by it. Right, next station is, what is the next station? I can't remember the stations. Leytonstone High Road, there we go. Oh yeah, and another thing that I read from an actual driver of the Class 710s is the policy when pulling away is 50% of power as a maximum up to 5 miles an hour. Once you pass 5 miles an hour, you can increase the power to whatever you desire. And in most cases, that will be 100% of power. So that is another technique that I will be adopting when driving the Class 710. I do quite enjoy hearing from people that drive trains in real life, because when I adopt their techniques whilst playing Train Sim World, I find it really heightens the levels of immersion. Right, so we're not too far from Leighton Midland Road, which is the next station. What I'm looking out for, hold on. No, next station is Leytonstone High Road, I believe, not Leighton Midland Road. So this left-hand curve here is where I'm going to get the brakes in. I'd say this section between Wanstead Park and Walthamstow Queens Road is probably the trickiest section of the whole route. You can see I've even come down to 20 miles an hour a bit too early there. But yeah, the section between Wanstead Park and Walthamstow Queens Road is very annoying to drive. It's just it's too much going on. Trying to commentate whilst driving through there as well. No, you guys can see how much I'm struggling, and then I haven't made a commentated drive in quite a while as well, so it's a bit too much for me. There's the stop board there, perfect stop. I do find it quite satisfying stopping at these types of stop boards. I'm not sure what it is, but just putting the stop board right in the center of this triangle window is it's very orgasmic, I must say. I was gonna say something else, but I completely forgot. That's annoying. So yeah, just again 50% of power until we get to 5 miles an hour, then straight into full power. Speed limit is, ooh, speed limit actually went down to 40 miles an hour just as we entered Leytonstone High Road station, and it's now gone back up to 45 miles an hour. So just keep that in mind. It's one of those speed limits that isn't going to affect you, because most of the time you'd be slowing down for the station anyway. But say you're operating a freight service or something, then definitely keep that speed limit in mind. Next station is Leighton Midland Road. What I'm looking out for is this low adhesion warning board. At that point, I'm going to get my brake step 1 application in, and that should bring us down for Leighton Midland Road on a very decent deceleration curve. In fact, brake step 1 will be the primary brake step coming into this station here. I feel like I'm only going to need a short burst of brake step 2. So that low adhesion warning board is a almost perfect braking point. Yeah, you can see I just gave a small burst of brake step 2, but I'm right back down into brake step 1. 20 miles an hour into the platform, brake step 1 again, just literally bringing us right down for the stop board, up to brake step 3 momentarily. Oh, and I went and overshot the stop board. Okay, do you know what? Every time something's going well, I start gassing myself up and praising myself, it goes wrong. So from now on, I'm gonna avoid doing that. I'm gonna keep it humble, remain silent until I've actually come to a stop, bang on the stop board, and at that point I will then praise myself, because praising myself beforehand seems to just end up in me getting severely embarrassed like I did just now. Also running 3 minutes late, which isn't good. Next station is Walthamstow Queens Road, my people. Walthamstow Queens Road. You can see we've got a nice little brake applied light just beneath the left door close button. I believe that I'm too scared to try and explain how that actually works, but it's pretty self-explanatory. It will light up when the brakes are applied. The mechanical brakes, not the real static brakes, obviously. And the reason why I find that indication quite useful is because you guys know when I'm pulling away, I like to ensure that my brakes are released before applying too much power. However, the class 710 does not have a brake gauge. Everything's all digital on this train. So I was panicking, thinking, how am I supposed to know when my brakes are released? And then I noticed that brake applied light. So I'm going to show you guys when I depart from the next station, Walthamstow Queens Road. When I come to a stand, the brake applied light is going to illuminate, and as I'm pulling away, it's going to extinguish. So that is what I'm going to be looking at to ensure that my brakes have released. So here we are coming down for Walthamstow Queens Road now. Get your brakes in as you enter the left-hand curve, and then the station's literally just on the other side of the left-hand curve there. You can go back and see what I was talking about. My apologies, I didn't really call out when I initially applied the brakes there, so you're gonna have to go back and have a look. And stop to bang on the stop board, and you can see the brake applied light has now illuminated. That wasn't illuminated before, but it's illuminated now to tell us that our mechanical brakes are currently applied, holding us in place. And I'm gonna show you guys what it does when I pull away. So let's get our doors closed. Always check your signals as well. I've been checking the signals subconsciously before I close the doors, but I don't really call it out, because again, I'm not trying to get overwhelmed with the commentary. But yeah, always take a glance at your signal before closing your doors, as you know. Right, so let's have a look at this brake applied indication. So you can see I've got my 50% power in. As the train begins to move, brake applied light goes out. So that is a really nice feature. I'm glad that Bombardier or whoever built this train decided to add that in, because it mitigates the chances of you having brake drag. In fact, no, it doesn't. It doesn't mitigate the chances of you having brake drag, but it mitigates the chances of you taking too much power whilst you encounter brake drag. And of course, in train sim world, you're never gonna get brake drag because it's a simulation. But in reality, brake drag. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Right, next station is Black Horse Road. What I'm looking out for is another low adhesion board. You can see it there. At that point, brake step 1 should bring you down for Black Horse Road on a decent deceleration curve. Again, you're going to need a bit of brake step 2 just to have you down for 20, have you down at 20 for the platform ramps. Excuse me. So yep, down to 20. So reducing the power to brake step, reducing the power to brake step 1. Oh, cool, blimey. Reducing the braking force to brake step 1 and just jumping between brake steps 1, brake step 2, and release. Just trying to have that stop board in the window there. Oh, come on. Perfect. Right. Black Horse Road, my people. Black Horse Road. And we're 3 minutes late. It's not good. It's not good at all. There's a class 66 in EWS livery. I don't think EWS actually exists anymore, so the 66 is very outdated in train sim world. Uh, I think there's a DBS one, but I don't really see that a lot. For some reason, I'm always seeing the EWS ones, which isn't too realistic. Next station is South Tottenham, which is quite far from here. And we're going to encounter a speed limit change, which is what I'm going to refer to as the Spooky 20. The reason I call it the Spooky 20 is because it literally jumps out of you out of nowhere. What you do when you pass over the AWS magnet for this signal, so this is the first signal after Black Horse Road station, get your brake step 1 application in, and that should bring you down for the 20 limit on a decent deceleration curve. Once you see that little electrical box there, that is a good indication that you're getting close to the 20 limit. Just going to give it a short burst of brake step 2 there, just to ensure that we're down in time. And releasing the brakes, and you can see the 20 board just there. So yeah, I'm not sure if I touched on why I called it the Spooky 20 just now. There's a chance I did, but I probably forgot. But yeah, it's it literally jumps out at you out of nowhere. I remember the first couple runs I was doing this 20 limit here, which I think is for this bridge that we're passing over. I don't think the bridge is strong enough to take trains traveling at higher speeds, especially the freight trains. Yeah, it would always catch me out. So especially at night time, it's terrifying. So I therefore named it the Spooky 20. Speed limit's now gone up to 45 miles an hour, accelerating up to that. Just reducing the power as we get up to 40 to have a nice controlled rate of acceleration up to 45. We're not too far away from South Tottenham station now. What I'm looking out for is a shunt signal associated with the track to the right. We're just passing that shunt signal now. At that point, get your brake step 1 application in, and that more or less will bring you into South Tottenham Station. Speed limit goes down to 40 and then 30, but you don't really need to worry about that because you're stopping at South Tottenham Station anyway. You might need to worry about it if you're one of the drivers that likes to use brake step 2 primarily, because you're going to obviously apply the brakes later. But if you're adopting my driving technique, then you're going to be well below 40 and 30 by the time you actually reach the commencement of those speed limits. And here we are, just trying to get the stop board in the window there. There we are, perfect. South Tottenham Station, my people, South Tottenham Station. This is where the signal box is located. So I believe the majority of this line is controlled from South Tottenham. Doors are closed and interlocked. Let's get a move on. Speed limit departing South Tottenham Station is 30 miles an hour. And 30 miles an hour is going to be the ruling speed limit for most of the way up to Gospel Oak, excluding the section between Upper Holloway and Gospel Oak, Upper Holloway being the penultimate station. So we're up to 30 miles an hour. I've just shut off the power there, and we're going to be predominantly uphill between here and the next station, which is Haringey Green Lanes. So I'm going to have to keep bouncing between about 20% power and the idle position on the power brake controller to maintain 30 miles an hour. And I have finally remembered what I was going to talk about back at Leytonstone High Road. I was going to talk about the power brake controller for this train, and now's a good time to actually talk about it because the next station is quite far away. So the 710 is a very weird train. It has a power range across the percentage spectrum. So when it comes to applying power, you can obviously do 10%, 25, 80 and whatnot. But with the braking range, it's a stepped brake, so you get your traditional step 1, 2, 3 and emergency being the 4th step. I'm not sure if there's any other train in existence that's like that. I know there were trains where it's the opposite, so you have your stepped power and then a braking range across the percentage spectrum, but having a power brake controller configured like this seems very alien to me. Here we are approaching Haringey Green Lanes now. Now again, our train driver friend that was kind enough to provide information about the class 710s, they basically said that the reason for the power brake controller having stepped braking on the class 710s is so that the driving policy didn't have to be rewritten, because all of London Overground's existing stock were fitted with 3-step brakes, class 378s, 172s, 315s, 317s, etc. So if they all of a sudden introduced a train that had a braking range across the percentage spectrum, it would be a bit difficult for the drivers to transition onto it. It would feel very different driving it, which is understandable. So the class 710s were purposefully built with a power brake controller that has stepped braking. Every other Adventure series train has a braking range across the percentage spectrum. Sorry, I think I made a mistake when speaking just then. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired. Basically, the Class 710, the Adventure series has like it's the Class 710, 345, 730, and 720 and 701. I believe all of them, excluding the Class 710, have a braking range across the percentage spectrum. But the Class 710 is the only one that has the traditional three-step brake. There we go, finally got it out in the end. Departing from Haringey Green Lane there, the speed limit is still 30 miles an hour. Why the speed limit is 30 miles an hour on a straight section of track, your guess is as good as mine. If anyone knows, let me know in the comment section. And we're still climbing uphill a bit. Once we pass beneath this bridge here, the gradient should level out. Just applying small amounts of power at regular intervals to help us maintain 30 miles an hour. Next station is Crouch Hill. Next station, Crouch Hill. Just around this left-hand bend. The good thing about driving at a speed like this is that you're more or less driving on sight. So like a tram, basically. So you don't need to worry about braking points because the station, you're going to be able to stop within line of sight, basically. So you're going to see the station before you reach the start of the deceleration curve. So you can see there, I saw the station well before I put the brakes on. And yep, perfect stop. So yeah, between Haringey, between South Tottenham and Upper Holloway, you honestly don't need to worry about braking points because you're going to be able to see the station from way before you actually need to put the brakes on, because you're only doing 30 miles an hour. So yeah. Next station is Upper Holloway. Next station, Upper Holloway. Speed limit is still 30 miles an hour. I've literally just said that the speed limit is 30 miles an hour and I went and flew right past 30 miles an hour. Oh lord, just applying a small amount of braking there to bring us back down beneath the speed limit. That's annoying. That could have been a near perfect run, but I had to go ruin it at the end. I guess I'm not the train sim warrior that I thought I was, momentarily broke the speed limit there. I'm doomed. There's no coming back from that. But that is a perfect example of why sometimes it's good to not apply full power when you're in these lower speed limit zones, because it's easy to just whack the throttle all the way open and start daydreaming, and you're going to end up exceeding the speed limit, especially in a train like this with rapid acceleration. It's honestly too quickly to reach 30 miles an hour. It doesn't take long at all. Speed limit's now gone up to 55 miles an hour, but I'm not going to bother accelerating to that because we are shortly going to be arriving at Upper Holloway station. Just getting a brake step 1 application in for that now. Beautiful. Stalkboard is a bit closer than you'd think it'd be. Like, oh. stopped a bit short there. Actually, have I? Do you know what? I don't even know. I can't see the stop board. Yeah, as I was saying, the stop board is a bit closer than you think it would be. A lot of the time the stop board is at the end of the platform, but here at Upper Holloway, it's about 50 yards from the end of the platform, so just be wary of that. That might catch you out. The one problem I have with driving at night is that the stop boards aren't really illuminated too well, so it is quite difficult to see where they are. But luckily, like most of the other routes on this game, there's no consequences for not stopping accurately. As long as you stop on the platform, then it's all good. Speed limit's now 55 miles an hour, but it's going to be shortly dropping to 40 miles an hour. I'm only going to accelerate up to about 50 miles an hour, then I'm going to get my brakes in. So we're up to 50, you're going to get a brake step 1 application in to bring us down to 40 miles an hour. Down to 40, releasing the brakes, and 40 board is right there. And at the signal coming up in the distance, the speed limit will be reducing to 20 miles an hour. And this signal is the signal that protects Gospel Oak Station. So I'm going to get my brakes in about now. We're looking for a letter B in the theatre box indication above the signal aspects, which we can see. That tells us that we've been routed into the bay platform at Gospel Oak Station. So we're down to 20 miles an hour. It's an unmarked speed limit, so there's no speed board on the signal. Well, there might be, but maybe I wasn't looking hard enough, but I didn't see a speed board there. But just know that the speed limit goes down to 20 miles an hour at that signal. And then at that point, you can literally just coast into Gospel Oak Station. For some reason, I have a very strong temptation to say Gonville Oak. I don't know why, but it's Gospel Oak. It requires so much effort to say it correctly. I'm not sure if it's just me. But yeah, speed limit will be going down to 15 miles an hour for the turnout into the platform at Gospel Oak. But like I said, if you just coast from the commencement of the 20 mile an hour speed limit, aka the signal protecting Gospel Oak, your speed will come down to 15 miles an hour by itself. Then entering the platform, gonna give it a burst of brake to have us below 10 miles an hour as we pass over the TPWS grids. And we're gonna creep our way along the platform. Gonna bring it down to 5 miles an hour, about a carriage length away from the end of the platform. And we gotta keep in mind that the end of the platform is quite a way away from the buffer stops, so we're not aiming to stop at the buffer stops, we're aiming to stop at the end of the platform. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. I need to remember to refer to this as secure, not neutral. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of people crying about that. It's secure, it's not neutral. Class 7 10 and neutral. Anyway, right, now with the class 710 in Train Sim World, if you set the DRA and then try to drive from the other end, the train will be unable to take power. Setting the DRA, having the DRA set in an inactive cab will still render the train unable to take power. So for that reason, I'm not going to set the DRA. I'm just going to select off on the FNR switch, remove the master key, disable the safety systems, and we're running so late that the train's already ready to make its way back towards Barking, but I'm not going to be driving that. Uh, just ensure that the tail lights are configured correctly before we do the outro. Yep, that is fine. And that is that. So yes, that concludes this commentated drive between Barking and Gospel Oak, HUD-Less. I can confidently say that I more or less signed this route. I have had quite a few perfect runs on this route before I recorded this. I just happened to make that little mistake there with the 30 mph speed limit. But I know this route, okay? My thoughts on this route, like I said, it's a gorgeous route. I like it. High workloads to keep you busy, even though it's a 13-mile route with 13 stations, funnily enough. The workload is so high, it keeps you busy, and it takes about 40 minutes to actually get from one end of the route to another. It's an end-to-end route, which is good, so you don't have any of this nonsense where you're picking up a service halfway through and swapping, having to set up and take over from the AI and all that, which is something I don't like at all. Think of the Bakerloo line. That's the best way I can describe this. It's very similar to the Bakerloo line. So if you're a fan of the Bakerloo line in Train Sim World, you'll probably be a fan of this as well. But on that note, I'm going to conclude this commentated drive, guys. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Constructive feedback and criticism is more than welcome in the comment section below. If you'd like to further support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. I will catch you guys in the next one. Love.